Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiv Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. I'm gonna mute you all. Okay, so today we'll start the third verse of first canto, first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So these three verses we'll take individually and then we'll go to the theme of the verses. Nigam kalpataror galitam phalam shukmukhadam ridrav samyutam pibad bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. So Prabhupada translates, O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of all Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukdev Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So here, the last word is Bhuvi Bhavuka. Bhavuka Prabhupada is translated as expert and thoughtful men. It's not in normal terms of Bhavuka. Bhavuka in other terms, in material terms, means sentimentalists or emotional people. But it's not for them. It's for expert and thoughtful men. So Srila Vyasadeva is calling you all as expert and thoughtful men. Please relish this transcendental literature of Srimad Bhagavatam. And what kind of literature it is? It is a mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. Kalpataru means a desired tree. Nigam means a Vedic literature. Nigam, Kalpataru. Galitam, fully matured. Phalam, fully matured fruit. And what kind of fruit? Rasam alayam. Pibat rasam alayam. Pibat means drink. And rasam is a fruit, juice, which is relishable. But if it is a fruit, and what kind of fruit it is? It's a fruit hanging on the desired tree of Vedic literatures, and fruit is the essence of the tree. You know a tree by its fruit. So what kind of fruit it is? It is full of juice. It's rasam. Like pibat rasam. Means you drink that juice, or you relish, or you taste that juice. So this is a fruit, Srimad Bhagavatam, means it's just full of juice. There is no seed and there is no skin on it. That kind of fruit it is. Means it is sweet from everywhere. Wherever we taste, it is sweet. It depends now on us how much sweetness we can taste. Some people, like Prabhupada wrote in the first purport, there are some people want to jump to the 10th canto right away, and they think the only juice is in the 10th canto. But that's not right, because they are looking to gratify their own senses, and that's why I think the juice is in the 10th canto if they read the confidential pastimes of Krishna with his gopis. But that's not right. Those who are really liberated souls, they find taste in each and every verse, beginning from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's how sweet it is. It just we have to come to that level of realizations, understanding that we start tasting from very first verse of Bhagavatam. From the word when he says, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So in the purport, Prabhupada is writing, in the two previous shlokas, it has been definitely proved that the Srimad Bhagavatam is a sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. Like in previous verse we read, Dharma projita kyatavatra parmo nirmat saranam sapam. Means in Srimad Bhagavatam, all kinds of other religious activities are completely kicked out. And they're called Katav. Katav religion means a cheating religion. Cheating religion means a person keeps on doing dharma, artha, kama, and he just keeps on rotating in the cycle of birth and death. It doesn't even go beyond that. So the Bhagavatam itself, Vedvyas, all the Vedvyas compiled all of the Vedic literature. But in Bhagavatam, he is calling everything else as Katav religion, cheating religion. So Bhagavatam is a sublime literature which surpasses all of the Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. Of course, in Bhagavatam, you will not find anything mundane, any material activities. In this shloka, it is stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature, but is it the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. This is how Bhagavatam is described. In other words, it is a cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. So how do we relish or get this knowledge? By hearing patiently and submissively. With great respect and attention, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. So with great respect and attention, one should receive this message. The Vedas are compared to the desire tree. Why it is called Kalpataru? Because they contain all knowledge, all things knowable by men. Whatever we want to know, it's all given in the Vedas. They deal with mundane necessities as well as spiritual realization. So Vedas have everything, whatever we need. The Vedas contain regulated principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, and metaphysical subject matter, and all that may be necessary to keep the body and soul together. So the Vedas have every single aspect of knowledge it has covered. As like Prabhupada is writing, it's contains social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, metaphysical. Everything is there in the Vedas. All the knowledge. Vedas means, Veda means to know. So knowledge comes from Vedas. Above and beyond, all these are specific directions for spiritual realization. 90% गिरीश गुप्ता जी आपका
प्रभु जी by mistake it press, sorry.
अच्छा अभी ऑफ कर देते हैं, म्यूट कर दीजिए. Above and beyond, all these are specific directions for spiritual realization. Regulated knowledge involves a gradual rising of the living entity to the spiritual platform, and the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that the personality of Godhead is a reservoir of all spiritual tastes or rasas. So regarding the Vedas, Krishna also tells Arjuna, Tragunya Vishya Veda Nistragunya Bhavarjuna. So Vedas generally deal with the three modes of material nature. That's all. But you should transcend beyond, go above and beyond these three modes of material nature. So Srimad Bhagavatam takes us beyond that. And here Prabhupada is writing, regulated knowledge involves gradual rising of the living entity to the spiritual platform, and the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that the personality of Godhead is a reservoir of all spiritual tastes or rasas. That is the highest spiritual knowledge or realization. It is even beyond the requirement or the desire of people when they say they want to just merge in Brahm Jyoti. This is even beyond that. If he is a reservoir of all spiritual taste, so for the taste, the person has to be there, personality has to be there. So this takes us even beyond the Brahm Jyoti, and it's a very fashionable thing for so many organizations to say, "Oh, we just want to merge in. We are one. We all are one. Tattvamasi or Soham Brahmasmi." They use all these words, but the ultimate aim, what they think, is to merge in Brahm Jyoti, moksha. But Srimad Bhagavatam takes us way beyond that. It takes us to the level of spiritual rasa or taste between the soul, between a jiva and Supreme Lord. Every living entity, beginning from Brahma, is the firstborn Brahma, the firstborn living being within the material world, down to the insignificant ant, desires to relish some sort of taste derived from sense perception. So everybody is trying to enjoy the senses, basically. They are trying to get some taste out of these senses. This is the whole idea of the material world, that we want to enjoy. Spiritually, we are full of enjoyment, but since we are in the material body, we want to enjoy through this material body. So material body means senses, 5 knowledge acquiring, 5 working senses, and above that is mind. So we are trying to somehow derive taste from the sense perception. These sensual pleasures are technically called rasas. Rasas are of different varieties. In the revealed scriptures, the following 12 varieties of rasas are enumerated. Rodra, anger; Adbhut, wonder; Shringar, conjugal love; Hasya, comedy; Veera, chivalry; Daya, mercy; Dasya, servitorship; Sakhya, fraternity; Bhayanak, horror; Bibhatsa, shock; Shant, neutrality; and Vatsalya, or parenthood. So basically, the rasas are categorized in these 12 categories. Out of this, 5 are primary and 7 are secondary rasas. 5 primary rasas we know: Shant, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. And rest 7 are secondary: Rodra, Adbhut, Hasya, Daya, and Bhayanak, and Bibhatsa. The sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. Primarily, such signs of love are manifested in adoration, service, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. And when these 5 are absent, love is present indirectly in anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, fear, shock, and horror. For example, the Prabhupada is just trying to make us understand through the material relationships, but the real relationships exist in the spiritual world. For example, when a man is in love with a woman, the rasa is called conjugal love. But when such love affairs are disturbed, there may be wonder, anger, shock, or even horror. Sometimes love affairs between 2 persons culminate in ghastly murder scenes. Such rasas are displayed between man and between animal and animal. There is no possibility of an exchange or rasa between a man and an animal, or between a man and any other species of living beings within the material world. Well, in Kali Yuga, even that is changing. So that is very perverted form of rasa. Or rasa means that we want to enjoy, so the thought of enjoyment or the action of enjoyment. The rasas are exchanged between members of the same species, but as far as the spirit souls are concerned, they are one qualitatively with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the rasas were originally exchanged between the spiritual living being and the spiritual whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the original rasa, original relationship, original taste was between the spirit soul, Jiva, and Supreme Lord. But since we fell down in the material world, we got this body, we are trying to manifest the same rasa because it's in the soul, it's the quality of the soul through this body. So the body, like Prabhupada explained, between man and woman, there is some love affair, and then different secondary rasas can also come to play between a man and woman. But originally, this existed between this jiva and the supreme whole or supreme personality of Godhead. The spiritual exchange or rasa is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. It's fully exhibited only in the spiritual world, not in the material world. Because these rasas, just like since the living entity is Sanatan, Supreme Lord is Sanatan, so the relationship is also Sanatan. It's complete, it's pure, it's permanent. Here in material world, since our bodies are temporary, senses are temporary, so the rasa or the relationship, that's also temporary. So it's fully exhibited only in the spiritual world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described in the Shruti mantras, Vedic hymns, as a fountainhead of all rasas. Means he is called Rasik Shekhar. He is a fountainhead. From him emanates all the rasas. And he is the object of all the rasas. Means fountainhead means everything comes from him and he is the center of all the relationships. When one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional rasa with the Lord, then the living being is actually happy. We all are looking for happiness, and we all look for happiness through these relationships between man and woman in different terms, as in conjugal rasa or parental rasa or friendship, or we try to serve somebody or somebody tries to serve us or some other way. We all are looking for this. But the real happiness will be there when one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional rasa with the Lord. These Shruti mantras indicate that every living being has its constitutional position, which is endowed with a particular type of rasa to be exchanged with the personality of Godhead. In the liberated condition only, this primary rasa is experienced in full. In the material existence, the rasa is experienced in the perverted form. In material existence, the rasa is experienced in the perverted form. It's not complete and it doesn't give the full taste either, which is temporary. And thus the rasas of the material world are exhibited in the material form of Rodra, anger, and so on. So the same rasa are there in the spiritual world, but in complete, pure, and permanent form. And Prabhupada is writing that every living being has its constitutional position, which is endowed with the particular type of rasa to be exchanged with the personality of Godhead. So this we discussed in Bhagavad Gita discussion also, that every soul has his particular type of rasa or relationship with the Supreme Lord, and that is its constitutional position. That is our constitutional position or the original consciousness that we have with the Supreme Lord. The rasa is with the Supreme Lord. So that consciousness is somehow covered over because we fell down in the material world. This material modes of material modes of nature, they cover over our original rasa. So that's why we get our consciousness becomes impure or covered over. All we have to do is when we engage in these spiritual practices, we are trying to remove that covering of material nature. And so that our original primary rasa, our constitutional rasa, can get exhibited again. It's simple. Process is that. It just, while trying to remove the impurity, sometimes we make it more impure by our different activities, and that's where the problem starts. Therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different rasas, which are the basic principles of activities, can understand the false representations of the original rasas which were reflected in the material world. The learned scholar seeks to relish the real rasa in the spiritual form. In the beginning, he desires to become one with the Supreme. Thus, less intelligent transcendentalist cannot go beyond this conception of becoming one with the spirit whole without knowing the different rasas. Is less intelligent transcendentalist, Prabhupada is writing, because they want to just merge Om Shanti, that's what they were just want to merge in Brahm Jyoti, but this is not where the spirit soul is going to find the constitutional, permanent, complete, pure happiness. Happiness can only be found when there is a relationship, loving exchange between two people. Just like if somebody goes to a cave in Himalayas and he just meditates over there for hundreds of years or thousands of years, even if he finds a little bird or a little butterfly over there, he will find more happiness in conversing with that little butterfly or a bird than just sitting in the cave and Om Shanti, whatever he is doing. Because this is the constitutional position of the soul to have this relationship, to taste the relationship. This is the constitutional position of the soul. We have perverted it in the form of relationship in the material world, which is also necessary for a soul to remain in the material world. But our original relationship is with the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. So that's what we have to aspire for. That's what we have to work for. So I think I'll stop here. Or should we cover the next paragraph? Or somebody has any questions or comments? Next paragraph is a little longer, so I didn't want to take it up. If anybody has any questions or comments, we can discuss that. Should I unmute everybody or you can unmute yourself?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
We were talking about the rasas which can be exchanged only between this same species.
That's a proper right, yes.
Yeah, you also mentioned that in Kali Yuga it's changed. We are seeing so many people, having lots of pets, and they have these exchanges of love between themselves and pets. Like they laugh and they cry, everything happens.
Yeah. Even Bharat Maharaj, he also fell for the deer, baby deer. Not in a wrong way, but he was taking care of that baby deer and he had to take the form of a deer. Next slide.
So how to understand Prabhupada writing that such exchanges of love can be had only between the same species?
What I understood is when we have a dog or a cat or people keep other animals, pets at home,
Right.
they're trying to fulfill some emotional security or lack of emotional bonding somewhere else. They're trying to fulfill here. It will not last because the real rasa will not be there. But something is lacking in their life, so they're trying to fulfill it. And nowadays, I was looking at the news and they are coming up with some robots. they act just like human being. So people are preferring a robot to even to animals.
So you are saying that it's only temporary and the person cannot be really satisfied.
No.
Okay.
The real exchange will not be there. And
Thank you, Prabhu.
Since we don't find reliable persons to have that exchange with, then we try to have the pets. Or now it's changing to robots. We'll try to have robots. But we have to go back to the original, to have the relationship with the Supreme Lord. That will satisfy one. But to have the relationship with Supreme Lord, one has to have loving, reciprocal relationships with the servants of the Supreme Lord, with the devotees. Because this is the right path. This is how we go to the Supreme Lord. But that relationship has to be in proper mood. Mood has to be right. Yeah. Any other question or comment? So should we stop here then?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we'll stop here and we'll meet tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.